I was always a huge fan of Wave Race for the Nintendo 64, and I always wondered why they didn't make more jet ski games. The Jet Moto series was great, but really those aren't jet skis. So when Splashdown hit the PlayStation 2 in 2001, I checked it out, and I really enjoyed it. But when the sequel, Splashdown Rides Gone Wild, came out nearly 2 years later, I was really hooked. The emphasis on this game is that each track has a unique theme to it, which really adds excitement to your race. Along with these themed levels comes some pretty unique characters, including a caveman, a zombie, and even a James Bond wannabe. Each racer has his or her own attributes which determine how they'll handle during a race. You can also select different attires and different paint jobs for your jet ski. There are many different types of races you can participate in. My favorite are the world races, which contain these wacky themed levels. Not only do these races feature some pretty fun environments like being caught in the Bermuda Triangle or racing through a haunted castle, but another cool thing is how each lap differs from the last. Now, every time you complete a lap, you can expect something cool to happen during the next. Like in this dinosaur level, everything seems pretty normal in the first lap, but by the third, the animatronic dinosaurs are all busted and falling apart. One of my favorite levels is Downtown Downpour, where the entire city is a few feet underwater in what appears to be a flash flood. I really like how they have you racing through the streets and jumping onto a high school football field and then even racing through the halls of the school. This is what sets Rides Gone Wild apart from the first game in the series. These levels are extremely entertaining. I don't find myself getting bored halfway through a race like I might with some other racers. This is one of those games I can pop in and play more often than a lot of other games from this era. Everything looks great in this game. I really don't have any complaints. It runs smoothly and everything is really colorful. And you'll even notice yourself looking around a lot while racing. It's hard not to. I mean, there's a lot going on. It can be extremely distracting, but that's part of the challenge at times, and it's kind of part of the game's charm. Next to the speedometer on the HUD, you'll notice a little meter. That's the performance meter, and the higher it's filled, the faster you'll go. You'll fill the meter by performing stunts, which can be pulled off with a combination of the shoulder buttons with different directional commands. The more and better stunts you pull off in a row will grant you more to your performance meter. Going back to the handling, like I mentioned, every player controls differently, and when getting into the more advanced racers, it can become a little bit difficult. They tend to be a little faster but harder to control, which can be a problem in a game like this, especially since it's pretty easy to get stuck somewhere. I mean, look at this. I got stuck here and I could not get out to save my life. I tried everything. And as far as I know, there's no reverse button. I mean, I mashed every button numerous times and even tried different combinations. So eventually I had to just exit the race, which is really a shame. Just like in Wave Race and Jet Moto, you're required to pass by buoys on certain sides, and missing one will actually power down your performance, which can slow you down drastically. But luckily you won't see too many of these buoys throughout the races, not in the world races at least. The AI can be a bit... yeah, that. Not only are they difficult just speed-wise through the race, but sometimes they'll come out of nowhere and just ruin everything you had going for yourself, like we just saw. I'd say 1 out of every 3 races I'd get blindsided by an opponent and knocked into next week. I've yet to determine though if that's a flaw in the game design or maybe just part of the challenge. Anyway, it's not going to stop me from playing. The music is another area where the game excels. For the world stages, we get nice original music that fit the level's themes perfectly. And for the rest of the game, we get licensed songs by established bands. It all works very well. And speaking of the rest of the game, we can get into some of the other modes. There is a stunt mode, it's called Freestyle, which puts you on an enclosed course of your choice filled with lots of ramps and platforms, along with power-ups. You'll get points for completed stunts. And these points can actually be used in the warehouse to purchase unlockables like characters, different attires, paint themes for your jet ski, all that good stuff. There's also the technical time trials mode, which puts you in the themed areas from the world courses, but within small man-made courses. This is where you'll see a lot more buoys and a more realistic style of racing. For me, there's not much fun to be had here, especially with the other tracks this game has to offer. The stadium courses are indoor races that just take place on smaller tracks. These are pretty fun, but again, they just don't pique my interest for long, knowing that there are many more exciting levels waiting for me. But I can appreciate the fact that they offer what feels like two different games in one. I'm really surprised this game didn't get more attention when it came out. I remember renting this and Downhill Domination both on the same weekend shortly after they were released, and between the two, honestly, I didn't leave the house much. This is one of those games that, to me, really doesn't feel like it aged much. I mean, the graphics aren't up to current gen standards, but I hardly noticed when playing it. I really miss these kinds of games, just lighthearted, not too serious, fun racers. I really wish they'd make a new one. I mean, I'd be all over it, but I know that'll probably never happen. You really can't go wrong with either Splashdown game. I own both and come back to them at least once a year, but this is definitely the better game in the series, and at its price point, there's really no reason to pass it up. Anyway, until next time, as always, thanks for watching.